Introduction. Most men die with regret. If you could step forward 10 years and meet the man you are becoming, would you recognize him with pride or avoid his eyes in silence? Most men never ask this question honestly, and that is why regret waits patiently for them at the end, collecting interest every year they delay. Regret is not loud in youth. It whispers. It disguises itself as caution, responsibility, and patience. It says there is time later, that conditions are not right yet, that tomorrow will be safer. By the time it speaks clearly, tomorrow has already passed too many times. Most men do not fail because they aim too high. They fail because they aim too low and convince themselves it was wisdom. They settle into routines that feel secure but slowly drain meaning until life becomes something endured instead of fully lived. You can feel this happening in small ways. The goals you once spoke about now feel embarrassing to mention. The risks you promised yourself you would take have been postponed so long they no longer feel real. Comfort replaces curiosity, and habit replaces intention. This is how regret is built, not in one great mistake, but in thousands of small retreats. Each time you silence an urge to grow, to speak, to act, you trade a piece of your future for temporary peace. The exchange feels harmless until the cost is revealed. Most men wait for permission to live fully, permission from money, from timing, from approval, from certainty. But permission never comes. Life rewards decision, not delay.
If you feel alone on this journey towards personal achievement, or if you just want to meet more like-minded people, we have prepared a community for you. Click the first link in the description to join.
Think of how many moments you have already felt slip away. Conversations left unsaid, opportunities dismissed as impractical, talents left unused because they felt inconvenient. Each one seems small at the time, yet together they form a pattern that shapes a lifetime. The tragedy is not death itself. It is arriving there with unused potential still inside you, with words unspoken, decisions unmade, and courage never tested. That is the regret most men carry, even if they never put it into words. Living fully does not mean reckless pleasure or constant excitement. It means alignment. It means acting in accordance with what you know you must do, even when fear argues otherwise. Fulfillment grows where integrity and action meet. Most men sense what they should pursue, but they talk themselves out of it with logic that protects comfort. They confuse safety with wisdom, forgetting that wisdom is proven only in action. What is never tested can never reward you. Time is not neutral. It either compounds your decisions or magnifies your hesitation. Every year you delay becomes evidence that shapes your identity. Eventually you stop seeing yourself as someone who could have lived fully, and that belief hardens. Regret is not caused by failure. It is caused by avoidance. Men who fail while pursuing something meaningful rarely carry regret. They carry lessons. Regret belongs to those who never fully entered the arena at all. To live fully, you must decide to stop negotiating with fear. Fear will never disappear, but it loses authority the moment you act in spite of it. Each act of courage weakens regret before it has a chance to form. Most men spend their energy managing appearances instead of building substance. They want to look responsible, stable, and sensible, but inwardly they feel unfinished. A life lived for appearance always ends in quiet dissatisfaction. You still have time, but not unlimited time. The feeling urging you to listen right now is not anxiety. It is awareness. Awareness that something essential should not be postponed again. Awareness that life is meant to be entered fully, not observed from a distance. Living life to the fullest begins with one decision repeated daily. The decision to act on what matters before comfort has its say. If you make that decision now, regret loses its future. If you ignore it, regret gains another year. Part 1. The Prison of Almost. Most men do not live. They almost live. Their hearts throb with ideas that never find expression. Their hands tremble with potential that never turns to work. Each day they postpone the act that would release them, promising themselves that tomorrow will be the day they begin. But tomorrow is the favorite disguise of regret. The tragedy of life is not death. It is the slow dying of purpose. The world is filled with men who breathe but have long ceased to truly exist. They have settled into comfort disguised as peace, security disguised as wisdom. They wake, they labor, they sleep, but the spark that once set their souls alight has grown dim under the ashes of habit. I have met such men in every walk of life. Their eyes betray the quiet defeat of those who have forgotten what they once desired. They speak proudly of responsibility, yet inwardly they mourn the adventure they never dared. The years have not aged them. They have anesthetized them. Safety has cost them life itself. The prison that confines them has no walls and no guards. Its bars are built of hesitation, and its gates are locked by fear. They call this caution, prudence, maturity, but in truth it is surrender. Every excuse that sounds reasonable is a brick in the tomb of their potential. Fear disguises itself as logic. It whispers that risk is reckless, that waiting is wise. It cloaks cowardice in respectable language and convinces the mind that postponement is prudence. But fear is a liar. It promises safety and delivers only regret. Every man has felt this deceit. He knows he should act, yet 1,000 small voices in his mind begin to argue for delay. The time is not right. The conditions are not ready. I must prepare more. Thus the clock turns and the man remains. Each retreat from purpose strengthens hesitation. Courage atrophies from disuse. Every unmade decision teaches the mind that it is powerless. Habit takes command, and soon even the idea of boldness feels foreign. The man becomes a spectator of his own existence. The law of inertia governs more than objects. It governs souls. A body at rest tends to remain at rest, and a man without purpose tends to remain without progress. Motion is the cure, but few remember how to move. I will not live as an echo of fear. I choose to act before comfort argues its case. My decision today ends the waiting of years. Write these words within your heart, for they are the keys to your freedom. Every postponed decision corrodes self-respect. The man who betrays his inner voice loses the ability to trust himself. He becomes dependent upon approval, upon timing, upon everything outside himself. The longer he waits to move, the weaker his faith in movement becomes. You can witness this decay in simple things. The dreamer who once planned boldly now speaks of realistic expectations. The artist who once sketched in passion now keeps his hands idle. The merchant who once dreamed of enterprise now speaks only of security. Each has exchanged desire for decorum. Regret is built one small compromise at a time. It is not the result of a single great failure, but of 1,000 neglected moments when the heart said go and the mind replied later. Later becomes never. I once knew a clerk with extraordinary imagination. He dreamed of invention, of service, of progress, but he doubted himself. He said he must first save, then learn, then wait for a better time. The years passed, his energy faded, and his dream died with him. The idea he never built appeared years later under another's name. The world belongs to those who act, not to those who explain. Action, even imperfect, commands respect from life. The universe does not reward the thinker alone. It rewards the thinker who moves. Decision is the language creation understands. Thomas Edison risked mockery and poverty for the sake of light. His friends called him foolish. His failures numbered in the thousands. But his vision remained louder than their doubt. Where others waited for proof, he created proof. That is why his name lives while theirs are forgotten. Henry Ford, too, defied convention. When told his idea was impossible, he refused to retreat. His direction created opportunity faster than caution preserved it. He did not wait for perfect knowledge. He began with faith. Faith gave him power. Power gave him results. Each time I have studied the difference between success and regret, I have found only this. The successful acted while the rest justified delay. Fortune favors the decisive because decision is the visible sign of belief. Life cannot align with hesitation. Fear of poverty is not the greatest fear of man. It is fear of living halfway. The timid man does not die poor, he dies unfulfilled. His wealth, if he gains it, brings no joy, for it was purchased at the price of his spirit. True wealth is the ability to obey your own purpose without apology. When I speak of faith, I do not mean blind hope. Faith is the calm of decisive men. It is the still conviction that direction itself is proof of destiny. When you act with faith, you align with law. When you delay, you oppose it. Decision is not mere choice. It is the divine privilege of ownership over destiny. Every man has within him the power to decree what shall be so, yet few exercise it. They prefer to negotiate with circumstance rather than command it. But the law favors command. Persistence is the habit of staying in motion until fulfillment appears. It is the refusal to let the fire of intent die before the task is complete. Most men persist only while enthusiasm lasts. The few persist until result appears. Those few write the story of civilization. The spiritual price of indecision is heavy. Each truth you silence darkens the soul. When the heart commands action and the mind betrays it, you divide yourself. And a divided self cannot stand. You may have noticed that those who act seem alive even in failure, while those who delay appear lifeless even in comfort. Action quickens the spirit. Delay drains it. To act is to live. To wait endlessly is to perish while standing. The difference between living not to lose and living to win is the difference between survival and significance. The man who lives not to lose hides behind excuses. The man who lives to win moves with purpose, accepts risk, and grows with each challenge. Consider again Edison. Had he waited for certainty, the night would still rule the earth. Consider Ford. Had he listened to doubt, progress would have halted at the horse-drawn carriage. Every light you see, every machine you use, is a monument to men who refused the prison of almost. The unknown clerk who dreamed but delayed serves as warning. His name is written not in history, but in the quiet cemeteries of regret. His ghost whispers to every man who says, someday. Someday is the anthem of failure. Those who awaken from this prison look different. Their movements carry conviction. Hesitation vanishes. They speak less of what they plan and more of what they build. They no longer seek permission. They grant it to themselves. To live fully is to assume authority over your time, your will, your life. To delay is to surrender that authority to circumstance. A man either commands his days or is commanded by them. There is no neutrality. Action requires no guarantee of success, only obedience to truth. Once you act, the universe begins to rearrange itself around your decision. Doors appear where walls once stood, but they appear only after motion begins. I have said before, the world makes way for the man who knows where he is going, but it also crushes gently the man who does not. The one walks in faith, and the other drifts in fear. Law rewards movement, not intention. The moment you begin, fear loses its argument. The longer you wait, the louder fear becomes. You cannot reason with it. You can only act through it. Each act diminishes its power until courage becomes habit. There is a stillness that comes after decisive action, a peace deeper than comfort. For once you obey purpose, you cease living two lives. The noise of inner conflict fades, replaced by the harmony of integrity. Every decision born of purpose strengthens identity. Each retreat weakens it. If you wish to rebuild self-respect, begin where you left it, at the last point of hesitation. Reverse the retreat. The moment you move again, confidence returns. A man who obeys his own convictions is never truly defeated. Even failure refines him, but a man who betrays conviction cannot succeed even in victory, for victory without purpose is emptiness disguised as achievement. This world is not against you. It is waiting for you to decide. It mirrors the tone of your will. Indecision tells it to remain silent. Command tells it to respond. The key to life is not struggle, it is direction. Every sunrise renews your opportunity to choose. Do not waste another morning negotiating with fear. Choose and act. The strength you think you lack will appear after motion begins, not before. There are men whose names will never be written in books, yet they live fully. They may be farmers, teachers, artisans, but they act daily upon their conviction. They do not postpone. Their peace is their reward. And there are men of influence whose names are praised, but whose hearts are hollow, because they spent their years trading purpose for position. They reached everything except themselves. Regret, when it finally speaks, is cruelly honest. It does not accuse you of what you failed at. It accuses you of what you never attempted. That is the voice every man hears when time runs out. But it need not be so. You can silence that voice now by acting upon the truth already known to you. You do not need more time. You need more courage. You do not need new opportunity. You need new obedience. Say it aloud. I will not live as an echo of fear. I choose to act before comfort argues its case. My decision today ends the waiting of years. These are not affirmations, they are commands. Speak them until the body obeys, for words backed by faith become law within the self, and law once accepted produces results. You were not born to almost live. You were born to rise, to create, to fulfill. Each day you wait, life grows smaller. Each day you act, life expands. The measure of your existence is not years, but decisions. Begin now. Whatever you have postponed, start. Whatever you have feared, face. Whatever you have desired, pursue. There is no later, there is only now. And when you act, you will feel something awaken within, the pulse of your own power returning. That is life answering you, saying, at last, he moves. The prison of almost was never locked. The door has always been open. The key has always been decision. And the moment you step through, you will discover what most men never do. That to live fully, you need not be fearless. You need only be faithful to the direction already written in your heart. Part 2, the law of aliveness. There is a difference between motion and life. Many men move endlessly, but few are alive. They rush from task to task, mistaking exhaustion for purpose, and call it progress. But movement without direction is decay in disguise. True living begins only when energy is guided by decision. A man may fill every hour with activity and yet remain stagnant. He may speak often of hard work, of long hours, of diligence. But without aim, even diligence is wasted. Energy scattered across confusion produces fatigue, not fulfillment. The difference between being busy and being alive is direction. Life expands wherever attention and decision meet. That is the law of aliveness. It is the invisible rule that governs vitality, achievement, and peace. Where thought, belief, and action move as one, energy multiplies. Where they contradict, energy dies. Men lose power not because they lack strength, but because they divide it. They speak of one thing, hope for another, and act upon a third. The mind pulls east, the heart west, and the body remains still. This division kills enthusiasm. Unity restores it. To live fully, you must unify yourself under one ruling aim. The man who chooses a direction gains access to all his strength. The man who wavers between options never commands even half of it. Decision liberates energy. Indecision buries it beneath doubt. I have seen men of modest talent outgrow their superiors simply because they possessed a definite purpose. Their steps were deliberate. Their work was not scattered, it was concentrated. In time, concentration became mastery, and mastery became authority. Andrew Carnegie once told me that the world rewards only the man who knows exactly what he wants. The moment he fixes his desire and begins to act, every unseen force begins moving toward him. Opportunity respects clarity. Confusion repels it. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, lived more vividly than most who can see and hear. Her condition restricted her senses, but her direction liberated her spirit. She knew her purpose, to learn, to teach, to serve, and her energy never scattered. That is the law of aliveness at work. Charles Schwab radiated enthusiasm that infected entire industries. But enthusiasm alone would have burned out had it not been disciplined by purpose. His energy was like a river bound by banks, focused, contained, powerful. Direction turned his vitality into empire. Why do so many men feel weary though they labor? Because they work without aim. Labor without meaning drains faster than idleness. The body tires easily when the soul is uninspired. Purpose feeds strength. Confusion consumes it. I am alive when I act with purpose. My direction strengthens faith. Confusion fades where decision stands. My life expands where I am definite. Repeat these truths until they settle into your bones. They are not poetry, they are physics. Energy obeys law. It moves toward the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance is always clarity. The mind at war with itself spends its days in wasteful friction. The mind unified by decision converts thought into progress effortlessly. The difference between a spark and a flame is focus. A spark flares briefly and dies. A flame sustains because it has found direction. The same is true of passion. Attach passion to purpose, and it endures. Leave it aimless, and it fades. You have seen men who begin projects with excitement only to abandon them when enthusiasm cools. They are ruled by novelty, not direction. Each new idea drains them more than the last because nothing connects. Energy without continuity cannot create. Faith is not emotion. Faith is alignment between thought and motion. To believe is to move consistently in one direction, regardless of feeling. Emotion fluctuates. Direction stabilizes. That is why faith, once fixed, outlasts every storm. Confusion is the most expensive tax on vitality. It steals from both mind and heart. It weakens conviction, clouds judgment, and reduces all effort to noise. The remedy is simplicity. Decide what matters most and discard the rest. Organized purpose ignites perpetually. It needs no constant stimulation because it feeds itself. Every completed act reinforces belief, and belief fuels the next act. This circular law is the secret of all endurance, and the moral responsibility of clarity cannot be overstated. Every hour you spend uncertain is an hour stolen from your destiny. Indecision wastes not only time, it wastes life. You owe direction not only to yourself, but to the gifts entrusted to you. When you delay purpose, you neglect the very reason you were given strength. The Creator does not reward stagnation. The tools you refuse to use will dull. The vision you refuse to follow will fade. Obedience to purpose is gratitude in action. Every act not aligned with your goal adds weight instead of strength. It may feel productive, but it is distraction in disguise. Choose fewer tasks and do them with total devotion. Concentration is the economy of power. You have heard men boast of multitasking. of handling 100 matters at once. But scattered energy never builds empire. A magnifying glass can burn paper only when held still. Motion blurs the beam. The same law governs success. Faith grows not from excitement, but from repetition of direction. Every day you reaffirm your purpose, your belief deepens. Every day you doubt, it weakens. Habit is the soil in which faith either roots or dies. Consider the clockmaker who repeats the same precise motions each day, yet creates perfection through rhythm. His repetition is not dullness, it is devotion. In the same way, purposeful men repeat with pride the acts that shape destiny. A man who understands the law of aliveness no longer chases enthusiasm, he cultivates it. He knows energy rises when he obeys his aim and fades when he betrays it. His happiness depends not on events, but on alignment. When you awaken with a clear purpose, you do not need to force motivation. The mere thought of your aim activates energy. Each action becomes meaningful, no matter how small, because it connects to something larger. Andrew Carnegie's steel empire began as a single clear intention: to organize men and machines more efficiently than ever before. That idea became his ruling aim. Every plan, every partnership, every hour of labor served it. Such unity of purpose creates inevitability. Helen Keller could have surrendered to despair, yet she lived with more joy than those who pitied her. She proved that direction, not circumstance, determines vitality. Her physical world was silent, but her inner world sang. Charles Schwab transformed enthusiasm into leadership because he never allowed emotion to wander without discipline. His energy, like a conductor's baton, commanded harmony where others found noise. This is the visible form of the law of aliveness. A man governed by this law appears calm, not hurried. His days are simple but weighty. He speaks little of what he will do because what he does speaks for him. Others feel peace in his presence because his energy is aligned. Confusion drains, but direction restores. When a man knows what he wants, even fatigue refreshes him. Labor becomes worship. Each completed act renews strength rather than depleting it. You can feel this law within yourself. Recall a time when you were wholly absorbed in a meaningful task. Hours vanished, yet you were not weary. That was aliveness, the harmony of mind, body, and will in a single direction. Contrast that with the dull ache of scattered work, the endless switching between unconnected duties. Each shift drains focus because the soul demands unity. When it is divided, it suffers. Most men live divided. They want security but crave freedom. They desire greatness but cling to comfort. They speak of purpose but obey fear. Such contradiction suffocates energy. The cure is decision, simple, final, complete. Decision is the act that heals the divided self. It gathers every wandering force and assigns it a master. The man who decides once truly feels a sudden release of power. He is no longer two men. He becomes one. Say within yourself, I am alive when I act with purpose. My direction strengthens faith. Confusion fades where decision stands. My life expands where I am definite. Repeat it not as wish, but as law. Each repetition builds alignment. Alignment builds momentum. Momentum creates peace. Living deliberately does not require constant struggle. It requires constant aim. The bow is drawn once, but the arrow's flight is long. You do not need to strain every moment. You need only to keep direction unbroken. When your goal is clear, life itself assists you. The right people appear. The correct ideas surface. Circumstance, which once resisted, now cooperates. The invisible hand of law moves where it finds order. The undirected man attracts confusion. The directed man attracts resources. The world loves clarity because it can trust it. Every leader who ever inspired others did so not through words alone, but through unmistakable purpose. Direction gives birth to magnetism. People are drawn to certainty as iron to a magnet. They feel safety in the presence of one who knows his aim. Even the doubters obey him unconsciously, for conviction carries authority. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness is born from motion, not from contemplation. Once your path is chosen, begin at once. The first step awakens the next. Faith does not precede action. It is proven by it. When your heart grows weary, return to your purpose. It will restore you. When confusion threatens, simplify. Ask yourself, does this serve my aim? If not, release it. The energy saved will feed what matters most. The law of aliveness is not mystery, it is discipline. It rewards those who guard attention as treasure. The man who knows where his thoughts dwell knows where his future will appear. Clarity is not found, it is built. Each day you renew it by reminding yourself why you began. Each night you preserve it by discarding distraction. Purpose must be maintained like fire. It lives only through care. A flame left untended dies, so does ambition. But when fed daily with faith and repetition, it becomes unquenchable. That flame within you, once steady, will burn quietly for decades, lighting all that surrounds it. The law of aliveness is the cure for the modern illness of aimless activity. It replaces busyness with creation, fatigue with vitality, confusion with certainty. It turns mere existence into deliberate expression. He who obeys it lives twice, once in the present and again through the works he leaves behind. For what is created through purpose outlives the hand that formed it. Begin today to practice this law. Choose one aim worthy of your soul. Bind your energy to it as the sun binds light to warmth. Let every act, thought, and word move in harmony toward it. When you live this way, you will feel life return to you in greater measure than before. Joy will no longer depend upon circumstance. Peace will no longer require escape. You will no longer exist as a shadow. You will radiate. The law of aliveness rewards all who decide, for life itself is decision. The heart beats by it, the mind thrives through it, and destiny unfolds because of it. And when men look upon you, they will say, "He lives." Not because you breathe, but because every breath carries purpose. Part 3. The courage to begin. No man ever becomes ready. He becomes real through movement. The greatest illusion of life is that courage must be present before action begins. In truth, courage is the child of obedience. You move first, and courage follows. You act, and faith awakens. Waiting to feel brave is how men grow old in silence. Fear is not an enemy. It is an invitation. It appears whenever purpose approaches, testing whether desire is stronger than hesitation. Every great step has been taken in the presence of fear. The decisive men of history learned not to destroy fear, but to command it through motion. Action has a language the subconscious understands more deeply than thought. When you move toward your aim despite uncertainty, you prove belief through evidence the mind cannot deny. Each movement writes faith into your character until conviction replaces doubt entirely. The timid wait for clarity before they act. The bold act until clarity appears. This is the dividing line between the ordinary and the great. Every advance in civilization began with someone who obeyed impulse before proof, trusting law over logic. I have seen men paralyzed by preparation, believing that another book, another plan, another mentor would remove uncertainty. Yet no amount of information can replace initiation. You learn what to do only by beginning to do it. The principle is simple. Motion creates momentum. Momentum builds faith, and faith annihilates fear. There is no other formula. When you begin, invisible hands seem to move with you. Providence cannot steer what will not move. Edwin C. Barnes proved this law when he entered the office of Thomas Edison without invitation. He did not wait for endorsement or opportunity. He declared it. He said, "I have come to be your partner." The world laughed at his audacity, yet within years he was exactly that. If Barnes had waited for confidence, he would have died with excuses. But faith disguised as action opened the door that hesitation would have left closed. His courage did not precede his step. It was born from it. The same was true of F.W. Woolworth, the man who built an empire from a store mocked as foolish. When others sneered at his idea of selling cheap goods for pennies, he acted anyway. He did not consult permission. He consulted conviction. The crowd followed only after results appeared. Fortune favors the bold not by chance, but by law. Life cannot reward indecision because indecision violates the principle of motion. Success itself is merely the reward given to obedience in action. I do not wait for courage. I move, and courage follows. My steps create the path others fear to see. Action is proof of belief. I obey opportunity when it knocks. These are not slogans, they are laws of movement. Speak them daily until hesitation loses its home within you. Waiting for the perfect time is a subtle form of fear. It gives the illusion of wisdom but produces paralysis. The perfect time never comes because perfection exists only after the attempt. The first stroke makes the painting real. Each act of obedience to your aim reinforces faith. Each delay reinforces doubt. The subconscious is loyal. It will believe whichever you repeat more often. It will either see you moving or stalling and will align your destiny accordingly. The man who begins with trembling hands is braver than the one who never begins. His faith, though small, grows through friction. In time, movement becomes his nature. Confidence stops being a feeling and becomes a function of identity. To obey opportunity is to treat inspiration as command. Most men call it coincidence when a new idea visits them. In truth, it is instruction. The law of growth whispers once, not endlessly. The man who listens and acts inherits what others only imagine. I have watched countless opportunities dissolve because men waited to feel certain. They wanted guarantees. But guarantees belong only to those who have already risked. Life offers insurance only after investment. Fear never vanishes. It changes its form. In youth, it is fear of failure. In age, it is fear of regret. You cannot escape it. You can only choose which fear you will obey. The wise man chooses the fear that expands him, not the one that confines. Remember this: life will test the sincerity of every decision. The moment you commit, resistance appears, not as punishment, but as proof. Law demands that every dream be tempered through difficulty so that faith becomes firm. Courage is loyalty to direction in the presence of fear. Loyalty means staying true to your aim when emotion wavers. The coward obeys feeling. The man of courage obeys purpose. That is why courage always leads to mastery. It makes will stronger than circumstance. The first step is sacred. It carries more power than the 100 that follow, because it is the act that breaks inertia. Once momentum is born, even small faith can carry you far. Movement gathers resources you could not have imagined from stillness. Most failures occur not through lack of effort, but through failure to begin. The starting line is where dreams die, not the battlefield. Men plan beautifully, speak eloquently, and then retreat quietly. Each retreat etches failure deeper into the soul. To begin while uncertain is to announce to the world that you trust law more than feeling, and law rewards trust. Each act of obedience to your own conviction summons order out of chaos. A man who acts consistently becomes magnetic. People feel stability in his motion because he is moved by purpose, not impulse. The world grants him confidence because he grants it to himself through deed. Action cleanses the mind. Doubt breeds in idle thought. When you act, confusion clears because reality answers immediately. A man lost in theory can debate endlessly, but the man in motion receives feedback truthfully and adjusts. You cannot steer a ship that never leaves the shore. You cannot learn courage from comfort. You must move into uncertainty and allow the winds of law to correct your course. The obedient man is never reckless. His courage is deliberate, not blind. He moves because he has chosen faith over hesitation. Each step says, "I believe," and law answers, "Then it shall be so." The cost of waiting for permission is identity decay. Every postponed action teaches the mind to doubt itself. Confidence is not built by praise, it is built by proof. And proof comes only through execution. To begin is to reclaim dominion over yourself. The timid man lives by reaction, the bold man by creation. Each time you act on conviction, you remind yourself that you are cause, not effect. Movement creates magnetism. People follow energy that is certain. The decisive man draws allies as flame draws warmth. He becomes a point of gravity in a world adrift. Others seek his presence because it clarifies their own. Fortune, opportunity, and faith, these are all attracted to motion. They lie dormant until summoned by action. When they see a man move, they rush to meet him. For life itself respects motion more than contemplation. Do not mistake impulse for courage. Impulse reacts. Courage decides. Impulse burns quickly and leaves ashes. Courage endures because it is guided by purpose. Always act from purpose, not from panic. Action is not the opposite of reflection, it is its completion. Thought is seed, but seed without soil and sunlight cannot grow. Action provides both. It makes ideas tangible and gives faith a body through which to operate. Every beginning is small. Do not despise it. Every mountain of success began as a single decision obeyed. Men look for greatness in leaps, but greatness is built in steps taken when no applause exists. To begin does not require perfection. It requires sincerity. Law respects earnestness. If your motive is pure and your direction is fixed, even your errors will serve you. The path will rise to meet you because purpose commands response. When fear whispers, "What if I fail?" answer, "Then I will learn." Failure is not the end, but refinement. Each mistake removes error and strengthens mastery. The man who dares learns more in a month than the cautious man learns in a lifetime. Those who wait for ideal conditions die waiting. The ideal condition is the moment you decide. All else is excuse wrapped in logic. Begin, and the conditions you need will appear in proportion to your commitment. Say this to yourself: I do not wait for courage. I move, and courage follows. My steps create the path others fear to see. Action is proof of belief. I obey opportunity when it knocks. Repeat until hesitation becomes impossible. Each repetition trains the mind to favor movement over fear. In the end, life rewards not the one who knows the most, but the one who begins soonest. Knowledge expands through use, not collection. The thinker who never acts remains servant to the doer who once dared. The habit of motion must be cultivated like any other habit. Begin each day with a deliberate act toward your purpose. Do something that affirms your direction before the mind has time to negotiate. Every small action compounds faith. Every completed task multiplies energy. You will find that once you act daily, resistance weakens, and what once felt heavy becomes natural. The current of law begins to carry you forward. The greatest enemy of success is not failure. It is hesitation disguised as preparation. Planning is useful only when it leads swiftly to motion. Plans without action are like maps never traveled. The obedient man learns to trust the unseen. He acts before he can see the full path, knowing that steps reveal the way. This is not recklessness. It is partnership with law. The universe expands for the man who moves in faith. To begin is to pray through action. It is to speak to infinite intelligence in the language of movement. Every deed says, I trust. And in that trust, strength returns. The timid man waits for assurance and receives only delay. The bold man acts in faith and receives assistance beyond reason. For the invisible world obeys decisiveness as surely as the physical obeys gravity. Act once today in defiance of fear. Do one thing you have postponed. Write the letter. Make the call. Begin the project. That small obedience is the seed of transformation. Each act of courage changes identity. You become the kind of man who acts, and the world begins to treat you accordingly. Reputation follows repetition. Doers are trusted because doing is evidence of faith. And when others see you, they will feel something stirring in themselves, a reminder of what they once wanted to be. Your motion will challenge their stillness. Your courage will awaken their own. The man who begins becomes a living example of law in motion. He is proof that destiny responds only to decision, and through him, others remember that they too can move. So act. Do not wait. You are the proof life has been waiting for. And when you begin, the world will finally begin with you.